reading and preparing. In verse 6, Paul writes, "I'm confident of this. The one who started a good work in you will stay with you to complete the job by the day of Christ Jesus." I wonder if those also might be Pat's words to each of us here. Here's something I believe. Pat knew and Pat saw the good work that was begun in each of us. He saw it in those he loved. He saw it in you. Maybe you don't even see it in yourself just yet. You may feel that there is little that is commendable in you. Or perhaps you feel there is much good in you. But the start of true humility is seeing that it is Christ who began that good work in you. Perhaps that good work began even partly because of Pat, because of the example that he set, the way he taught you and modeled to you what wisdom and love and virtue look like. Because of Pat's patience, Pat's kindness, Pat's joy and humor, some of that goodness rubbed off on you and made you something of who you are today. The good work in you, though, is only begun. Christ is still bringing it further out of you and will see it through to completion. Surely this is Pat's prayer for us and what Pat saw in us. Unbeknownst to me, when I was writing this, Helen asked if I would read a quote about what grace is before we sing Amazing Grace. And I'm going to read that in just 1 minute. But I already had this quote in my message that I've always loved about what grace is. And it comes from a famous theologian by the name of Bono, who's the lead singer of U2. He's a Catholic, and he was once asked about his faith. He said this: "It's a mind-blowing concept that the God who created the universe might be looking for company, a real relationship with people. But the thing that keeps me on my knees is the difference between grace and karma." You see, at the center of all religions is the idea of karma. You know, what you put out comes back to you, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Or in physics, every action is met by an equal or opposite one. It's clear to me that karma is at the very heart of the universe, and yet, along comes this idea called grace to upend all that. Love interrupts the consequences of our actions, which in my case is very good news indeed, because I've done a lot of stupid stuff. And the interviewer, of course, says such as, and Bono says, "That's between me and God. But I'd be in big trouble if karma was going to finally be my judge. It doesn't excuse my mistakes, but I'm holding out for grace. I'm holding out that Jesus took my sins onto the cross because I know who I am, and I hope I don't have to depend on my own religiosity. The point of the death of Christ is that Christ took on the sins of the world so that what we put out did not come back to us, and that our sinful nature does not reap the obvious death. That's the point. It should keep us humbled. It's not our own good works that get us through the gates of heaven." This is the Christ for whom Pat lived his whole life. And because of this, and nothing else, is why we were the recipients of Pat's love and kindness and wisdom. His committed, consistent faithfulness